content of what people say. I respect the right of people to assemble and to express their view. That's the heart and soul of the American system. And one thing I think people know about me is I'm not going to ever be afraid to face the music. We want to come in and talk about the issues that matter. And obviously, today's a very big day to be up here in Marion County and to spend some time on some really good news. And I want to emphasize that we've been fortunate to have a good working relationship with a lot of the folks on the local level. And we talked about some of the flooding issues just for a moment inside. And we want to continue to make sure that Marion County has the recovery that it deserves. And so we're always looking for new opportunities to keep adding value. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. But I know that the county has faced some hard times recently. The Father's Day floods in June, they devastated a lot of areas, and people watched as their buildings were swept away in a matter of minutes. And we know that what that does to the recovery process, the action that hits is very hard. It's very swift, but the recovery can take a long time. And we need to be there every step of the way. And I'm going to keep doing my part to make that happen. I talked to some of the delegates and senators just a moment ago about the process. We were working to make sure that the Trump administration knew the importance of this issue to Marion County and to Ohio County. And I will tell you, the president extended his warmest comments and obviously approved. And we know that we're following up with the president on more opportunities. So we're going to keep going. We're fortunate. We have a president that really is looking out for West Virginia, and we have an ability to engage him. And I'm excited about that, whether the issue is how we recover from floods or the BEAD program. That's something we're working on every day as well. We want to make sure that we're succeeding in that. So many big things on the way, but we know that the flood was very difficult for this area. Fortunately, we're thankful to have FEMA supporting our robust efforts to get folks the assistance they need and get people back on their feet. That matters. We have the Disaster Recovery Center here. I think that makes a big difference. And I want to encourage everyone, if you haven't already, to visit. How many people here have visited? A couple people, right? I think it's pretty good. And if you have any questions about that, let us know. From all reports, the FEMA workers and our teams and the local teams have been doing a really good job working together, helping Marion County residents through the recovery process. These are folks that can assist individuals for applications for individual assistance. And there are a number of other programs like loans for small businesses through SBA and for disaster unemployment assistance. So I've made some of those announcements in past weeks, and I want to make sure people avail themselves of the opportunities to help themselves in recovery. It's taken a team approach to get where we are, and we know that the state is not unfamiliar with danger and problems from flooding. But West Virginia is stepping up, and we've been doing an enormous amount as administration. And I also want to accredit the legislature, because ultimately some of the resources that we're putting out, they were within our civil contingency fund. And so we're using that to make sure that we're engaging in prevention and resiliency. And I thought I'd share some of the statistics for folks, because sometimes it doesn't get reported. And I'm really grateful. I see at least one of the local stations, both stations are here. So I'm very grateful for that because it helps to report what's happening on the ground and the dollars that are going in. We recently announced $6 million in flood studies. That's really, really positive. And we're trying to leverage, there were some federal matches that were available to do that. And we were appreciative of the work of the federal delegation. We've engaged in a lot of flood mitigation projects. This past Monday, I was down in Milton. And depending upon who you ask, the project's going to be at least over $400 million. That's a pretty big project to engage in prevention with the Milton flood wall. That's critical. Because of the partnership with the legislature and the executive, there's money available for that already. That's really good. And we're going to make sure that those dollars are spent the right way. And I can also announce that this year alone, between the state portion and the federal portion, there's been over $100 million that's been spent in preventing, mitigating, and recovering from floods. That's a lot of money. And obviously, we've had a couple difficult floods this year. And so I just wanted to give people some sense about that because a lot of times those numbers don't get reported. And I want you to know the commitment we have to help our state recover from some of the difficult challenges out there. I know right here in Marion County, we had over 100 pieces of equipment from DOT and highways to clear the roads and spent millions and millions of dollars. The National Guard was here on the ground clearing over 480 tons of debris and working over 1,000 man hours. We've had a lot of good work done through the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency, responding to the request for assistance, working with the local folks on the ground. I want to compliment my acting Homeland Security person, Doug Buffington. That name's probably familiar to some of the legislators here. I got to tell you, this guy works really, really hard, and he has been on flood watch, and he's reached out, right? I think you could say that. He's been very proactive, no matter who you are. I don't know, Senator, if you know him, but he's been terrific. So I want to say thank you to him, and also to our folks in the Guard and every one of our agency, but also, quite frankly, the people on the ground, the first responders, the local law enforcement, the people that are doing all the work. You're at the point dealing with the issues head on. We try to help and supplement, but it's the local folks that are taking the lead. So I'm very appreciative of that, and we're going to continue to be here every step of the way. We are Team West Virginia, and we're going to continue to work as a team to help Marion County. Now, as we know, unfortunately, flooding is not the only challenge we have right here in West Virginia. When I first took office, I began to look for ways to help improve our water quality and support sewer and water infrastructure throughout the state. And so we've been challenging our teams to try to maximize how many dollars we can stretch so that more and more communities can get access to clean, safe water supplies. You can't talk about growing your economy if you don't have basic infrastructure in place. We're certainly working to make that happen. And so we've been working hard to leverage additional resources that are out there, various state funds, whether through our Water Development Authority or through our DEP with our revolving water funds, and then a lot of the federal resources that are available. So I'm feeling good that we're at a point where we're going to continue to make good announcements and continue to help a lot of the communities who are in need of water and sewer. So good news coming today. I'm very proud to announce that we have more grants that are going to be very helpful in this community. So this is a big plus. First one's right here in Marion County, and that's why I was happy to come here. The Greater Paw Paw Public Service District, they're going to receive an IJDC grant of $500,000 to repair 7 main pump systems in their sewer system. It's pretty good. The primary project area will be in Baxter in Marion County. It will impact 157 customers. In addition to the IGJDC, we have some funds with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and that provides the $1 million needed for the project. Good news. We're going to keep working on that. We have the town of Cairo in Ritchie County that's going to receive an IJDC grant of $1 million, and that's actually going to repair an 8-inch crossing line and other system improvements, and that's a partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers, work with the ARPA funds, and there was some congressional monies that came in. That brings the total project cost for Ritchie County to $4.2 million. A couple announcements for Kanawha County, including Elk Valley Public Service District, which is a $500,000 IJDC grant. All told, that grant's going to be with others 1.157, and that's really an important one because that's modifying some of the chlorine contact tanks to provide some alternative means of disinfection for the sewer system. So sorely needed in Elk Valley. Then Kanawha County Regional Development Authority, That's an IJDC grant of $1 million and a low interest loan of $9.2 million. That's $11.43 million. And we also have resources for Marmot in Kanawha County as well. And then we have another one for this area, and I wanted to especially highlight this. We have the town of Anamore, Harrison County, and that's going to be $1.344 million, and with an overall project amount of $3.565 million. That's in Harrison County, and I want to read this to you. Apparently, the existing distribution system is past its useful life and has begun to fail, and that's resulted in an estimated 59% of estimated water loss, a lot of line breaks and problems, boil water advisories. That's going to affect almost 500 customers. So these are good things that we're doing, and we wanted to announce. And I'm going to tell you, there are more positive things that we want to do. You know, I've had conversations with some of your delegates and others. I know there are other needs in Marion County. I want to see them. I want to go through the process and make sure we're getting all the data we need, and we want to help people who are in need. One, because it's the right thing to do, and two, we're never really going to be able to grow as rapidly as an economy if we don't make sure we have the infrastructure, the basics of water and sewer. So this is all good news, and I'm certainly appreciative to be up here and to talk about it. I'm going to now turn it over to Kimberly Salerno, and I'm very pleased that she's here today from Reesville. Thank you. Absolutely.
Good afternoon. I'm from Reesville. I'm the newly elected mayor, and this grant is a wonderful help to our neighboring community and to the Paw Sanitation Department. I do not believe they're here today, and so I'll be excited to share the news with them, and I'm sure they'll be excited to get the great news, and I look forward to continuing on this journey and learning more about grants, and hopefully we can receive more grants to our small town. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Look, we want to continue to help. We've been working to streamline the processes so we have visibility about all the different grant opportunities that are out there, and we're going to keep working with the legislature and others, once again, to keep building out infrastructure. I'm a big believer in that, and I'm happy to be up here today. Before taking questions, I just wanted to also address another issue that's probably on the minds of some people. The other day, we announced that we had sold 4 long-term healthcare facilities, including one in Marion County. I want to emphasize why this is such a good deal for this area. This is a huge win. I have to tell you, I know there have been historically some people that have not been interested in that, but I know that since entering office and before, I've talked a lot about this, briefed many people about the importance of repurposing government, that government needs to do the things government's really good at. And quite frankly, government's not very good about managing or micromanaging healthcare needs of people. So we had a process, and a lot of this started before I became governor, as many people know. A lot of it started 10 years ago. Last year, the then Justice Administration had begun a process with NDAs. There were well north of 130 original applications. That got narrowed down. Ultimately, there were 4 serious bidders that came into the situation, and we wanted to make sure that the right things were done. So here are a couple things for folks to know about it. I mentioned it the other day at my press conference, but I want to reiterate it because this is going to be really positive for the patients. That's what we have to look at. What's the quality? What's going to matter for the patients? And I think they're going to win under this. Number one, the state obviously was bleeding money, and that was not a positive development. So $60 million. But here's the piece I thought was really powerful for the people in the communities. There will be new facilities built. So we believe there'll be 3 to 5 new facilities, minimum of 3, up to 5 facilities, and generally in the communities where these places are located right now. Really, really big. Number 2, the owners have indicated they plan to keep virtually all of the employees. That's a big plus as well. And quite frankly, there might be some opportunities for people to earn even more money than what they're earning right now. Big plus. Then, when you look at patients, they have to continue to serve all the existing patients. And then there are other rules in place ensuring that the new patients will have to come in as well. And so we feel really good that the quality of the patient experience is only going to improve. And I wouldn't do it otherwise. I know I got asked a lot of questions, and I didn't just focus on the top line number for the state. I wanted to make sure that the quality issues were addressed, and yes, they were. And you might have a couple people who try to say, well, there was this issue or that issue. You have companies that people throw mud at all the time. But I think you look for the broader picture in terms of how people are working. And I will tell you, I have confidence that this is going to be very positive for the patients, and this is going to result in better quality. You know, when I was Attorney General, there were some investigations we did. You may remember about one of these facilities, the scalding water. And so I know there was some tough stuff going on. I want all that to get better, right? And I've been consistent about that for a long time. And so I've been dedicated to doing this for a long time. I've said it publicly. I've briefed many people. You know, from the beginning of the year, I used to have meetings with leadership where I would talk about these issues consistently about how we're going to make sure we're slimming down state government, but looking out for the people at the same time. So I wanted to mention that to you because I come before you because I work for you. And I want to make sure that if there are questions that people have, you know, I want to make sure that those get answered. But we're happy to brief the legislators and others, and I'm excited about it. The CEOs of the current facilities are working with their staff, and there's a lot of briefing going on because we want to make sure people understand the facts and why the facts are so good. So that's where we are, and I wanted to mention that since I'm up here today. I am very hopeful we may have some additional news, maybe even as early as tomorrow on some things, depending upon how some meetings go today with our team. We are not going to be sleeping on the job. I will tell you that. We're going to keep going. We're going to work. We're going to put this area first. We're going to put West Virginia first, and I'll keep coming back as long as you'll have me. So with that, I want to make sure if the media has any questions that I can answer them. Any questions from the media, BOI or DTV, or if you can mention your name and your organization, I'd be grateful.
I'm John Mark Shaver with the Exponent Telegram.
Okay, thank you, John.
About the state hospitals.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shock and a lot of anger when that was announced because some of our state representatives didn't know what was happening. I heard that some of the employees of these hospitals didn't know what was happening. Leading up to this, how many people local to these hospitals were you consulting with? And have you toured any of these hospitals yourself?
Yeah, so I have been in these hospitals in the past, a long time ago, just as the Attorney General. But I will say this has been underway for a long time. And in fact, the current Department of Facilities head, the legislature created a specific department which is really designed to sell these hospitals. That's been in the works for a long time. And so that's the charge we had. And so there's been a huge amount of consultation. And this has been out there. As I mentioned, the prior governor had been working and talked a lot about this. So this is something that's been out there for a very long time. And I think as people look at the details, they're going to be very, very positive. Look, part of the challenge when you have deals like this with publicly traded companies is that you have some limitations as to what you can say if things could be market-moving events. And so we're not going to get into trouble on those type of issues. But I can tell you this, we're willing to, we want to share the information. We want to put patients' issues at ease because it matters to make sure we're taking care of the healthcare needs of these residents. And that I think the more people learn about it, they're going to be very happy about it. So we're happy to do that. I know sometimes people don't appreciate if there are potential market-moving issues. That's what I was informed about by some folks. So, but I want to make sure that people get all their questions answered. Question?
Esteban Fernandez, Times West Virginian. So I know floodwater mitigation is kind of an important subject to here in Fairmont.
Sure.
I'm kind of curious, how is the state kind of working with municipalities on the mitigation side?
So I would say a couple things. Obviously, we have a resiliency office, but I've also encouraged a lot of people to be out in front and to reach out to our Water Development Authority. One of the things that I asked when I first took over as governor is I asked, was there a kind of a needs assessment that was being used in order to make all the project decisions? There wasn't. So we're trying to get to the point where we're doing this strategically based upon the needs of the community, right? That makes sense. And so that's what we're doing. So I've asked our team to reach out, and I would say to the media today, let's get that word out that we want to interact extensively with communities, and we want real information on the ground so that we can know, and we want to prioritize, right? I think that matters because we don't have unlimited monies. I think we're doing a pretty good job stretching some of the existing resources that we have, the state money, and looking for the federal match opportunities. But we would ask people to, let the communities know, be in touch, help educate us, because there wasn't a big priority list in terms of needs assessment or an analysis of the condition of everything in the state when I took over. So we're trying to collect as much data as possible, and we welcome that engagement. Any questions from the media? BOI?
I'm good.
DTV?
Hey, Governor, if I could ask Jim Bissett from the Dominion Post.
Yeah.
I know we do have protesters outside.
Yeah.
And could I get you to maybe explain just exactly how the ICE
Sure.
partnership and cooperation, how that might actually work in West Virginia?
Absolutely. So first of all, as I mentioned, the First Amendment is a wonderful thing. So people have the right to express their voice, and so we're always comfortable with that. I'm especially comfortable talking about the state's relationship with ICE because it's a big win for West Virginia. You see, at the beginning of President Trump's tenure in office, I had discussions with the president and other senior people in the administration about the importance of the fentanyl problem in West Virginia. And I've always been a believer that West Virginia functionally becomes a border state with respect to these fentanyl problems, because when a lot of the folks who are undocumented aliens, illegal aliens come in, West Virginia may not see the same volume as other states on the undocumented aliens, but I can promise you we were blitzed very badly with the amount of fentanyl that came in to West Virginia, the illicit fentanyl. That's how we experienced it. Awful. So I've been looking at every which way we can help address some of the immigration issues, because I viewed it as a prerequisite to help on the drug front, because we still have far too many people that are dying from fentanyl, and we have to clamp down on that. So those are some of the discussions I had early with the Trump administration. And then I had some good conversations with Secretary Noem, and I knew that they were doing a lot of work with the 287G program, which is a partnership that allows ICE to partner with local officials. In our case, we have memorandum between the National Guard, the state police, and corrections with ICE to help facilitate. This is done under the supervision of ICE, but we can partner with them to facilitate, to make sure that if there are undocumented aliens and there are issues and we can help with coordination, we're doing so. So this is something we want to do because we think that we want to address undocumented alien issues, and I worry about the drug epidemic. That's the thing that I keep focusing on. So the memorandum of understanding now will allow us to have people go for training. So we'll have over 170, I believe, or I'll have to get you the number, minimum of 130 guardsmen who are going to be trained. We have state police who are trained, and we've already had folks from corrections who have been working on this for some time. So the object is to partner with them so we can be in a position where we can turn more people over and get some people who are undocumented out of the country. That's one of your basic fundamentals when you're talking about federal government: defend the border. And I think this president has done an unbelievable job. To see the change between the Biden border disorder and where we are now with this president is night and day. And so we're going to do our part and help this president succeed and help clamp down on the unlawfulness that's going on. Other media questions that may be out there?
Michael Corley, WBO.
Hey.
Getting back to the water and sewer projects.
Sure.
They're not the sexiest things. They're not going to grab big headlines, but they're so vitally important
They are.
to their communities. Just talk about the importance of those projects, please.
I think they're critically important, and for a lot of different reasons. One, I think in order to live, we have an expectation we're going to have clean, safe water, right? That's a starting point. But second, we talk a lot about economic development, and how do you have effective economic development if you don't have good site selection, if you don't have good water, if you don't have good sewer? And these are things that I think deserve to be prioritized, and that's what we're trying to do. And I think certainly past administrations have worked hard to do that, but we're seeing that there's some kind of unique opportunities, and we're trying to act on that and let everyone know that we're going to try to take care of the basics, and that means water, that means sewer, that means more resources on roads. We're trying to do our best to focus on improving the state of bridges, which we inherited a lot of bridges that were considered in poor condition. We have a 4-year plan to try to turn that around. Thanks to the partnership with the legislature, we have $100 million going to the roads, secondary roads. I know that that's critically important. We're going to keep pushing in that area, and that's going to remain a priority for us. So these are basics, and I'm excited that we're focusing on the basics. That's how West Virginia is going to soar.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the media? Times West Virginia.
Times West Virginia. Going back to the immigration thing.
Yeah.
So I cover the courts and crime here in Marion County. I've never seen an undocumented immigrant go before a judge for a drug crime. Like in your press release, like there were 88, I think, that were in custody. So I'm just kind of curious, like, why does law enforcement need extra powers to go after people for drugs when it seems like the tools that they already have are already working?
I know I'd like you to define what already working means. So West Virginia has obviously seen some decreases in terms of fentanyl deaths, but until we make even more strides to eliminate these deaths, and you can't say anything's working. You have to be rigorous in pursuing all opportunities to get the numbers down as low as possible. I think every life is precious, and I do not want to have one life lost to it. And most certainly, if you can get the border under control, and we're helping as part of that process, that's also going to lead to good results in terms of reduction in the supply that comes to West Virginia and across the country. So I'm going to keep working hard, even though we've seen record-breaking declines the last few months in terms of fentanyl deaths and opioid deaths. I'm not going to stop. I want to keep going. I work too hard as the state attorney general to do things differently, to turn things around through the record-breaking settlements over $1 billion that we had, the creation of the West Virginia First Foundation, where you had a local guy who's now running the foundation, doing a really good job. So our work is not done, and I'm excited about this partnership. President Trump, when I've talked to him in the past, I know he really does care about the drug problems that we've had, and he knows the linkage between the unlawful immigration and drugs, and I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to address it. All right, any other questions from media? All right. Up.
I just got one more.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of those patients are low income towards the end of their lives.
Yeah.
And I think part of the big fear of this is if we privatize that, a lot of those patients are going to be priced out. So you mentioned earlier about there being rules and things about there being things with the sale. Is there something that makes sure that same demographic of people can get the same quality care they're
Yeah, so there are a couple different provisions in place, and I anticipated this question, so I wrote it down. There's a passer requirement in terms of the pre-admission screening and resident review to make sure people are in the appropriate place. Then, of course, there's also a lot of the non-discrimination rules that have been in place for a very long time to make sure that there's not bias and cherry picking in place. And so we anticipate those laws are going to get enforced. As Attorney General, I was not afraid to enforce the laws, and everything's going to continue to get enforced rigorously. There's also a requirement that they're going to keep those existing patients, and I think that we're going to be seeing higher quality. That's going to be really, really important. So I think this is only going to be it's going to be a number of steps up in terms of quality and opportunity for these people. And the other thing I would say to all the people that are raising questions about it, give it a chance, and you're going to see some new opportunities for the builds, newer facilities. You guys have been in these facilities. You know that a lot of them need a lot of work. And I think that it's important that we look at the opportunity to invest to get better, especially when you're dealing with the state that would have had to invest over $100 million to get these facilities to the places that we need them to be. This has been a win-win-win, and I'm asking people to look at those details, and we'll keep working with people to explain that. I know that the heads of the facilities are talking with the staff and talking with the patients, and we're going to continue to have robust communications to make sure that people know this is in the best interest of patients and the state of West Virginia. Any final media questions?
Sorry, just one more, I promise.
Oh my goodness. By the way, you know, what happens at these events is that you come and you're talking about one thing, and then they veer into other topics. No, so I come to these events and I answer questions, but please write about what we came here for, okay?
I promise I will.
All right, go ahead.
I got like maybe 3 stories out of this, so it works out.
Oh.
No, it's about the hospitals, actually.
Yeah.
So you said that there's been a promise to create 3 to 5 new structures.
Yeah.
Is that in writing?
Yeah, that's in writing. So we're excited about that. And that is a lot of value. In fact, I didn't mention one other piece, so thank you for asking this question. Not only will there be 3 to 5 facilities built, the buyer has committed that that'll be done by West Virginia Labor, West Virginia Resources. This is good. And when you can say virtually all the jobs are going to be saved, that's a win for our state. So a lot of economic development and new opportunities, but it's going to benefit the people right here. So that is another big reason why this is so important. So thank you for reminding me to make that point. Okay, well, I want to say thank you. And I want to also mention this. I had a brief conversation with your mayor coming in. If there are any items that we can do, continue to do on the flood and other matters, you know, I'm a pretty accessible guy. People should reach out to me and make sure that you're letting us know. And I'm not going to give you the just the traditional answer. I'm going to try to be direct and honest with you. But I know there are ways we can help, and I'm looking forward to continuing the partnership we have to have great things happen in Marion County and North Central West Virginia. I think you guys have a lot of incredible potential, and I'm excited to partner with you to make that happen. So thank you, and God bless.